The anklet burned against Amma's palm as she held it up to the moonlight, watching it shimmer with an otherworldly glow. She didn't know that in exactly 7 hours, this same anklet would destroy her life. She didn't know that the shadow watching her from the doorway belonged to someone who hated her enough to see her dead. And she certainly didn't know that her scream of terror at dawn would echo through 2 kingdoms and change the fate of thousands. But that scream came. Oh, how it came. Thief! Thief! The golden anklet is gone. The words shattered the morning peace of the Adansi palace like a stone through glass. Amma jolted awake on her sleeping mat, her heart hammering against her ribs. Around her, the other servants scrambled to their feet, eyes wide with panic. The golden anklet. The kingdom's protection. The blessed relic of 7 generations. Gone. Everyone to the courtyard. Now. The chief's guards stormed through the servants' quarters, their faces hard as stone. Amma's hands trembled as she wrapped her cloth around herself. This couldn't be happening. She had just cleaned that anklet last night during the full moon ceremony. She had placed it carefully in the ceremonial chamber herself, had whispered the prayers her grandmother taught her, had locked the door with her own hands. The courtyard filled with confused, frightened faces. Chief Osei stood on the palace steps, his royal Kent cloth hanging from his shoulders like the weight of the world. His face, usually kind and thoughtful, looked carved from granite. The golden anklet has been stolen, he announced, and a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Whoever has taken it has cursed this kingdom. The ancestors' protection is broken. Until it is found, no one leaves the palace grounds. Amma felt dizzy. She gripped the arm of Akojwa, the cook's daughter, who whispered, "Who would do such a thing? We'll all suffer for this. Search every room, every basket, every corner." The head guard's voice boomed across the courtyard. Amma watched the guards fan out, their faces grim with purpose. She wasn't worried. She had nothing to hide. She'd served Chief Osei faithfully for 5 years, ever since he took her in as an orphaned 12-year-old with nowhere to go. She'd worked her way from cleaning pots to being trusted with the most sacred objects in the kingdom. "My husband," a voice called out, dripping with false honey. Nana Yer, the chief's senior wife, emerged from the main house. Even in crisis, she was adorned in gold jewelry, her skin gleaming with shea butter. "Perhaps we should search where the anklet was last handled." Chief Osei nodded slowly. "Yes. Amma, you performed the cleaning ritual last night. Tell me exactly what happened." Amma stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "My chief, I cleaned the anklet as I always do during the full moon. I placed it in the ceremonial chamber, locked the door, and brought you the key. You were in the great room with the elders. You remember, my chief?" "I remember," he said quietly. "But the chamber was locked this morning, and the anklet was gone." "Then someone else has a key," Amma said simply. "I did everything correctly, my chief. I swear it on my grandmother's grave." "How convenient," Nana Yer interjected, her lips curling into something that wasn't quite a smile. "But, my husband, I must speak. Last night, I couldn't sleep. The heat, you understand. I walked through the palace for air, and I saw something that troubled me greatly. Every I turned to her." Amma felt a cold finger of dread trace down her spine. "I saw Amma holding the anklet," Nana Yer continued, her voice heavy with regret that didn't reach her eyes. "She was alone in the ceremonial chamber, and the way she looked at it, husband. Such hunger. Such desire. I thought nothing of it at the time because she is trusted. But now, with the anklet missing, I wonder if I should have spoken sooner." "That's a lie." Amma's voice cracked like a whip. "I was never alone with it except during the ritual, and I would never." "Search the servants' quarters," Nana Yer said softly, ignoring Amma's protest. "If I am wrong, I will beg Amma's forgiveness publicly. But if I am right, my chief, you must act swiftly. The ancestors are watching." The guards moved like a storm wind through the servants' quarters. Amma followed, her breath coming in short gasps. This was madness. She had nothing to hide. Nothing. They tore through the small room she shared with 3 other girls. They appended baskets, shook out cloths, emptied water pots. Amma stood in the doorway, her arms wrapped around herself, watching the destruction of her small corner of peace. And then she saw it. The guard's hand reaching under her sleeping mat. The flash of gold. The terrible, impossible shine of the ceremonial anklet, wrapped in her personal cloth. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no, that's not possible." The guard held it up, and the morning sun caught the gold, making it blaze like an accusation. The crowd that had gathered behind Amma surged forward, then pulled back, as if she carried a plague. "I didn't take it." Amma's voice rose to a scream. "Someone put it there. I didn't take it." But no one was listening. Nana Yes' face showed triumph masked as sorrow. The other servants backed away, their eyes filled with betrayal and fear. Even Akojwa, her friend, wouldn't meet her gaze. Chief Osei's face had turned to stone. "Amma, how do you explain this?" "I can't, my chief, but I swear on everything I hold sacred, I did not take that anklet. Someone is trying to destroy me. Please, you know me. You've known me for 5 years. Have I ever given you reason to doubt me?" For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in the chief's eyes. Doubt. Perhaps even belief. But then the head priest stepped forward, his ancient face grave with judgment. "The evidence speaks, Chief Osei. The anklet was in her possession. She had access. She had opportunity. Our laws are clear. To steal the sacred protection of the kingdom is not just theft. It is treason against the ancestors themselves." "But I didn't." Amma's voice broke into sobs. "Please, someone must believe me. Anyone. Please." Silence. Damning, terrible silence. Chief Osei closed his eyes, and when he opened them, they were empty of everything except duty. "Amma, by the laws of our ancestors and the evidence before me, you are guilty of theft and treason. You are hereby banished from the kingdom of Adansi. You will leave before sunset today. You will never return. If you set foot in this kingdom again, the penalty is death. Do you understand?" The world tilted. Amma felt her knees buckle, felt someone catch her before she hit the ground. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard wailing. It took her a moment to realize it was coming from her own throat. "Please," she begged, on her knees in the dust. "Please, my chief. I am innocent. Don't do this. Please." But Chief Osei had already turned away, his shoulders bowed like an old man's. The guards hauled Amma to her feet, their grips bruising. "You have until sunset," the head guard said, not unkindly. "Gather your things. Say your goodbyes. If you're already gripped by Amma's nightmare, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, what happens next will shock you to your core. Let's continue." The hours until sunset passed like a fever dream. Amma moved through the palace in a daze, gathering her few possessions while the other servants watched from corners, whispering behind their hands. Some looked pitying. Most looked afraid, as if her guilt might somehow contaminate them. Only the children came to her. Little Kofi, whose mother had died last year, clung to her leg and sobbed. "You didn't do it, May Amma. I know you didn't. You're good. You're good." "Hush, child," Amma whispered, stroking his head even as her own tears fell. "Be brave for me. Be good. Remember what I taught you about reading. Practice every day." "But who will teach us now?" a little girl named Abina asked, her eyes swimming with tears. "Who will tell us stories? Who will help us with our letters?" "You'll teach each other," Amma said, her voice breaking. "Promise me. Promise me you'll help each other." They promised, their small voices creating a chorus of heartbreak that would haunt Amma's dreams for years to come. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of blood and fire, Amma stood at the village boundary. Behind her, the entire kingdom had gathered to watch her leave. It was tradition. The banished must walk alone, must be witnessed, must bear the weight of every eye upon their shame. She took a step forward, then turned back one last time. Her eyes found Chief Osei standing on the palace steps. For a moment, their gazes locked. She saw torment there, and doubt, but also resignation. He believed the evidence. He believed she was guilty. "My chief," she called out, her voice carrying across the silent crowd. "I ask you one thing. One thing only. Search for the truth after I'm gone. The truth will come to light. It always does. Then she turned and walked into the forest, into the unknown, into exile. The crowd watched until she disappeared into the trees, swallowed by shadows. Behind her, she could hear the children crying. That sound followed her for miles. The forest was merciless. Amma stumbled through undergrowth, her feet bleeding, her throat raw from thirst. She'd been walking for 3 days, sleeping in trees when exhaustion overtook her, drinking from streams that might be clean or might kill her slowly. She was beyond caring. On the 4th day, fever took her. She collapsed beside a stream, her body shaking so violently her teeth chattered. Through the haze of delirium, she saw shapes moving toward her. Leopards, she thought. Good. Let them end it quickly. But they weren't leopards. They were people. Thin, ragged people with suspicious eyes and hollow cheeks. Another refugee, one of them muttered. We can't feed another mouth. Leave her, another said. She'll be dead by morning anyway. But then a voice, ancient and powerful, cut through their grumbling. Bring her to me. Strong hands lifted Amma. Through slitted eyes, she saw an old woman, blind with cataracts, her face a map of wrinkles. The woman reached out and touched Amma's face, and despite her blindness, seemed to see everything. This one carries great sorrow, the old woman said. But no guilt. I see light around her, even in her darkness. Bring her to my hut. She will live. And she will save us all. Mame Ifua, we're dying ourselves, someone protested. How can we? Bring her, Mame Ifua repeated, and there was steel in her voice that brooked no argument. Amma woke 3 days later in a small, clean hut. The fever had broken, leaving her weak as a newborn. Mame Ifua sat beside her, grinding herbs with steady hands that didn't need sight. Where am I? Amma whispered. Nkran village, the old woman replied. Or what's left of it. We're dying here, child. Have been for 3 years. The crops won't grow. The water makes us sick. The children waste away. We've tried everything. Why? Amma asked, struggling to sit up. Because we angered the spirits, Mame Ifua said simply. The young men cut down trees in the sacred grove. Since then, nothing grows right. Nothing heals right. We're cursed. Amma closed her eyes. Another curse. Another failure of justice. I can't help you, she said quietly. I can't even help myself. Can't you? Mame Ifua turned her blind eyes toward Amma. Tell me, child. Why were you in that forest, more dead than alive? And so Amma told her. Everything. The anklet, the accusation, the false evidence, the banishment. She told her about the children crying, about Chief Osei's face, about the way Nana Yer had smiled when the anklet was found in Amma's mat. She told her until her voice gave out and tears replaced words. Mame Ifua listened to it all, her face unreadable. When Amma finished, the old woman nodded slowly. You want to know what I see when I touch you? She asked. I see a healer. I see a teacher. I see someone who knows the old ways, the plant medicine, the prayers. Your grandmother taught you, didn't she? Yes, Amma whispered. But what good is it now? All the good in the world, Mame Ifua said firmly. You were broken in Adansi, but you're not dead. You can choose to stay broken, or you can choose to heal. And in healing yourself, you might heal us. What do you say, child? Will you help us? Will you try? Amma looked at the old woman's face, at the hope there despite everything. And something inside her, something she thought had died in that courtyard in Adansi, flickered back to life. I'll try, she said. It started small. Amma, still weak from fever, examined the village's water source. It took her only an hour to find the problem. The stream that fed their wells flowed past the decaying remains of the trees cut from the sacred grove. The dead wood was poisoning the water. We need to find the original spring, Amma told the village council that evening. Before it reaches the grove. The water will be clean there. The sacred grove. A man named Yor scoffed. No one goes there. It's cursed. It's not cursed, Amma said quietly. It's angry. There's a difference. Show me where it is. Mame Ifua smiled. I'll take you myself. The next day, with Mame Efua's gnarled hand on her arm, Amma ventured into the sacred grove. The devastation made her want to weep. Ancient trees, cut and left to rot. The ground torn up, disrespected. She could almost feel the spirit's rage vibrating through the air. "I'm sorry," Amma whispered to the grove. "I'm so sorry for what was done to you. But I need your help. These people are dying. Please. Show me the spring." The wind picked up, rustling through the remaining trees. And then, clear as a bell, Amma heard water. Running water. She followed the sound, Mame Efua trailing behind, until she found it. A spring, pure and clear, bubbling up from between ancient rocks. "Here," Amma breathed. "Oh, thank the ancestors, here." But she didn't stop there. Using techniques her grandmother had taught her, Amma prepared offerings for the grove. She gathered the scattered bones of the cut trees and arranged them respectfully. She sang the old songs, the prayers of appeasement and sorrow. She worked from dawn until dusk, until her hands bled and her voice gave out. On the 7th day, it rained. Not the sickly drizzle that had fallen occasionally, but real rain. Cleansing rain. The villagers stood in the downpour, their faces turned to the sky, weeping with relief. "You did it," Mame Efua said, finding Amma sitting exhausted against a tree. "You broke the curse." "No," Amma replied. "I just apologized for the village." The grove decided to forgive. Word of Amma's healing spread. Slowly at first, then faster. She treated a child's fever using herbs she'd foraged. The child recovered. She set a broken leg that had festered for weeks. It healed clean. She taught the women which plants could ease childbirth pain, which roots would settle angry stomachs, which leaves would draw out infections. Months passed. Then a year. The village of Nkran transformed from a dying husk into something vibrant and alive. Crops grew. Children laughed. And Amma, once the banished maid of Adansi, became Mame Amma, the healer, the teacher, the mother of them all. She tried not to think about Adansi. But late at night, when the village slept, she would lie awake and wonder. Did Chief Osei ever search for the truth? Did anyone ever question Nana Yes' convenient testimony? Did the children remember her? One morning, as she ground herbs in her mortar, a shadow fell across her workspace. She looked up to find a young man watching her, his face equal parts awe and hesitation. "Mame Amma," he said. "I'm Kwame. I farm the western fields. I wanted to thank you for healing my father last month. He says you saved his life." "The herbs saved his life," Amma replied with a small smile. "I just knew which ones to use." "Still," Kwame said, and then he did something unexpected. He sat down beside her. "May I help? I'd like to learn." And so he came every day. At first to learn, then to talk, then simply to be near her. A friendship formed, and then something deeper. Something that made Amma's heart, so long frozen in grief, begin to thaw. "You never speak of where you came from," Kwame said one evening as they watched the sunset together. "No," Amma agreed. "I don't. Because it hurts too much. Because I'm afraid," she admitted. "Afraid that if I remember who I was, I'll lose who I've become." Kwame took her hand. "You don't have to tell me. But Amma, whoever you were, whatever happened, you're remarkable. You saved an entire village. You teach our children. You heal our sick. You're the best person I've ever known." Amma felt tears prick her eyes. "You don't know what I was accused of." "I don't care what you were accused of," Kwame said firmly. "I know who you are. That's enough." But peace, Amma would learn, was a fragile thing. And in Adansi, the consequences of injustice were coming home to roost. The drought started exactly 1 year after Amma's banishment. Chief Osei watched his kingdom's wells run dry, watched his crops wither, watched his people grow thin and desperate. The priests performed rituals. They made sacrifices. Nothing worked. "The ancestors are angry," the head priest told him one morning. "They demand justice." "We gave justice," Chief Osei replied, but his voice lacked conviction. "The thief was banished." "Was she a thief?" the priest asked quietly. "Or was justice itself stolen that day?" The question haunted Chief Osei. It haunted him through sleepless nights and endless days. It haunted him when his youngest son fell ill with a fever no medicine could break. It haunted him when he looked at Nana Yer, who had grown gaunt and jumpy, who screamed in her sleep and would no longer enter the ceremonial chamber where the anklet now rested, restored but powerless. "Wife," he said to her one night, "do you ever think about Amma?" Nana Yer's cup slipped from her hands, shattering on the floor. "Why would I think about a thief?" "Because," Chief Osei said slowly, watching her face, "I'm not sure she was a thief." "You saw the evidence," Nana Yer said, but her voice shook. "Everyone saw it. Evidence can be planted," Chief Osei said. "Lies can be told. And the truth, wife, has a way of emerging. Usually when we least expect it." That night, Nana Yer's nightmares were worse than ever. She woke screaming, tangled in her sheets, her eyes wild. "What is it?" her junior sister wife asked, rushing to her side. "What did you dream?" "She was there," Nana Yer gasped. "Amma." "She was standing at the foot of my bed, and she just looked at me. She didn't say anything. She just looked. And I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear her eyes." The junior wife frowned. "Why should a thief's ghost trouble you? Unless what?" Nana Yer snapped. "Unless you know something we don't," the woman finished quietly. After that, Nana Yer began to unravel. She lost weight. Her hands shook constantly. She talked to herself, arguing with invisible accusers. The other wives whispered that guilt was eating her alive. But guilt over what? The answer came during a prayer ceremony for the chief's sick son. The entire court had gathered in the great room, priests chanting, incense smoking, everyone desperate for the ancestors' mercy. Nana Yer stood in the back, swaying slightly, her eyes glassy. And then she began to speak. At first, it was a whisper. Then it grew louder. Then it became a wail that made everyone's blood run cold. "I did it," she screamed. "I hid the anklet. I put it in her mat. I destroyed her. I lied. I lied." The room fell silent except for Nana Yer's sobs. Chief Osei slowly rose from his seat, his face a mask of controlled fury. "What did you say?" "I was jealous," Nana Yer wept, falling to her knees. "So jealous I couldn't see straight. A maid. A mere maid, and everyone loved her more than me. You trusted her more than me. The children followed her, not me. So I took the anklet and I put it in her sleeping mat and I accused her and I watched you banish her and I thought I would feel better but I don't. I feel like I'm dying. Like something is eating me from the inside out. You condemned an innocent girl." Chief Osei's voice was barely above a whisper, but it cut like a blade. "You destroyed her life. You cursed this kingdom. All because of jealousy. I'm sorry," Nana Yer sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I see her face everywhere. Please, husband, please. Help me." But Chief Osei wasn't listening anymore. He turned to his guards, his face terrible in its rage and grief. "Find her," he commanded. "Find Amma. Search every village, every town, every corner of the land. Find her and bring her home. Bring her home so I can beg her forgiveness. Bring her home so I can make this right. Go. Now." 3 search parties rode out at dawn. North, south, and east, carrying messages of apology and bags of gold to compensate anyone who could provide information. Weeks passed with no word. Chief Osei began to fear the worst. Perhaps Amma had died in exile. Perhaps she was lost forever. Perhaps his injustice had killed her. Then the Eastern Party returned, their leader wearing an expression of stunned disbelief. "My chief," he said, "we found her. But you're not going to believe what she's become." In Kran, Amma was teaching a group of children their letters when she heard the commotion. Horses. Voices raised in excitement and confusion. She set down her teaching stick and walked toward the village entrance, curious but not alarmed. Then she saw them. Warriors in a dancey colors. Her heart stopped. The lead warrior dismounted and, to Amma's shock, dropped to his knees before her. "Mame Amma," he said, "I am Osei's man, sent by Chief Osei himself. He begs you to hear his message." Amma's world tilted. She was dimly aware of Kwame appearing at her side, of Mame Ifua's hand on her arm, of the entire village gathering around her protectively. "Speak," she managed to say. "Nana Ye confessed," the warrior said. "She confessed everything. The theft, the deception, all of it. You were innocent, Mame Amma. You were always innocent. Chief Osei sends his deepest apologies and begs you to return to Adansi. He wishes to restore your honor, to give you position and wealth, to make amends for the terrible wrong done to you." The words hung in the air like smoke. Amma felt a rushing in her ears, felt her knees go weak. Innocent. She was innocent. Everyone would finally know. But the vindication she'd dreamed of didn't feel the way she'd imagined. It felt hollow. Empty. "No," she heard herself say. "Mame Amma," the warrior looked confused. "Perhaps you didn't understand." The chief himself. "I understood perfectly," Amma said, and her voice grew stronger. "Tell your chief that I appreciate his message. Tell him I understand that he acted on the evidence before him. Tell him I bear him no ill will. But also tell him this: I will not return." "But your honor." "My honor," Amma interrupted, "is not his to restore. I rebuilt it myself, here, with these people. I am Mame Amma now. I am a healer, a teacher, a member of this community. This is my home. These are my people. Please," the warrior said, genuine distress in his voice. The chief is beside himself with guilt. The kingdom suffers still. They say only your return can break the curse. Won't you at least come and speak with him?" Amma opened her mouth to refuse again, but Mame Ifua's voice cut through. "Child, you must face your past before you can truly be free of it. Go. Not for him, but for yourself. For closure. For peace." Amma looked at the old woman, then at Kwame, who nodded slowly. Then at the faces of Nkran's villagers, her people, who looked worried but trusting. "I'll return to Adansi," she said finally. "But I don't go alone. Nkran comes with me. All of us." The warrior's eyes widened. "All of you?" "All of us," Amma confirmed. "If Chief Osei wants to see me, he'll see what I've built. He'll see who I've become. And then we'll talk about what justice really means." The journey back to Adansi took 2 days. Amma rode in silence, her stomach churning with emotions she couldn't name. Anger. Fear. Anticipation. Grief. It all swirled together into something almost unbearable. When the walls of Adansi came into view, she had to close her eyes against the wave of memory. The last time she'd seen those walls, she'd been walking away from them in disgrace, children crying behind her, her life in ruins. Now she rode toward them at the head of an entire village, proud and whole and healed. The entire kingdom had gathered at the entrance. And there, at the front, dressed in mourning cloth and looking like he'd aged 20 years, stood Chief Osei. The moment he saw Amma, he prostrated himself on the ground. A chief. Prostrating himself before a maid. The crowd gasped. "Amma," he said, his voice breaking. "Daughter of Adansi. I have wronged you beyond measure. I failed you. I failed justice. I failed everything I was supposed to protect. I beg your forgiveness. I beg it knowing I don't deserve it. But I beg it nonetheless." Amma dismounted slowly. She walked toward the chief, her heart pounding. She looked down at him, this man who had been like a father to her, who had believed her guilty, who had thrown her away. "Stand up," she said quietly. Chief Osei rose, tears streaming down his face. "I can give you anything. Wealth, position, land. I've had chambers prepared for you in the palace." "I don't want chambers in the palace," Amma said. "I don't want wealth or position. But I do have conditions for my return. Are you willing to hear them?" "Anything," Chief Osei breathed. "Anything at all." "Then here are my terms," Amma said, her voice carrying across the crowd. "First, Adansi and Nkran will become sister villages. You will share resources, knowledge, and support. What benefits one will benefit both. Second, you will establish a new council of justice, one that includes women's voices, one that investigates thoroughly before condemning. Evidence alone is not enough. Character, history, and thorough investigation must all be weighed. Third, you will build a school for orphan children, where they can learn to read and write and have a future. I will oversee it. And fourth. She paused, looking at the crowd until her eyes found Nana Yer, standing in the back, looking like a broken shell of the woman she'd been. Fourth, Nana Yer will not be executed or exiled. She will serve in both villages, caring for the sick and the poor, learning the healing arts, learning what it means to truly serve. For 7 years, she will know what it is to be humble, to be powerless, to depend on the mercy of others. Only then will her debt be paid. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Chief Osei bowed his head. It shall be done, he said. All of it. I swear it on the ancestors. Then I will return, Amma said. Not as a maid. Not as your subject. But as a free woman who chooses to help heal what was broken. The celebration that followed lasted for 3 days. But Amma felt disconnected from it, as if she were watching from a great distance. She went through the motions, accepted apologies, smiled when expected. But inside, she felt empty. On the 3rd night, she stood alone in the palace gardens, looking up at the stars. She sensed rather than heard someone approach and turned to find Kwame. You're leaving, aren't you? He said quietly. How did you know? Because I know you, Kwame replied. This place, it's not home anymore. Maybe it never can be again. The work here is important, Amma protested weakly. The school, the justice reforms, will all happen whether you're here or not, Kwame finished. Amma, you've done what you came to do. You've faced your past. You've demanded justice. You've set things in motion to help others. But you don't owe these people your life. You don't owe them your happiness. What if I don't know where I belong anymore? Amma whispered. Then we'll figure it out together, Kwame said, taking her hand. Nkran, Adansi, somewhere else entirely. It doesn't matter. Home isn't a place, Amma. It's the people who see you for who you really are and love you anyway. Amma felt tears finally break free, tears she'd been holding back for 2 years. I thought vindication would feel different. I thought I'd feel satisfied. But I just feel tired. That's because revenge and justice aren't the same thing, a new voice said. Mame Ifua emerged from the shadows, her blind eyes somehow finding Amma's face. You got justice, child. But what you really needed was healing. And you can't heal in the place that wounded you. So what do I do? Amma asked. You choose, Mame Ifua said simply. You choose your own path now. No one else gets to decide for you. Not the chief, not tradition, not even guilt or duty. Just you. Amma looked between them, these 2 people who loved her, who saw her. And slowly, she began to smile. Then I choose. She began. But what did she choose? Did she stay in Adansi and oversee the reforms, forever tied to the place of her trauma but able to ensure lasting change? Did she return to Nkran, to the peace she'd built and the love that waited there? Or did she choose something else entirely, a third path no one had anticipated? And what of Nana Yer, who watched from the palace windows with haunted eyes? Would she truly learn humility in her service, or would resentment poison her further? Could a heart twisted by jealousy ever truly heal? And the children? The children Amma had promised to help. Who would ensure their school was built? Who would make sure Chief Osei kept his word? Amma opened her mouth to speak, to tell them her decision, to choose her future. But before the words could leave her lips, a messenger burst into the garden, his face white with terror. Mame Amma, Chief Osei, come quickly. It's the western border. Smoke. Fire. The village of Kofi has been attacked. Raiders from beyond the mountains. They're coming this way. And they're asking for someone by name. They're asking for you. The garden fell silent. Amma felt her blood turn to ice. Who would know me in the western mountains? She whispered. I've never been there. They say, the messenger gasped, they say they know what really happened with the anklet. They say they have proof. And they say if you don't come to them, they'll burn every village between here and the coast. Amma's mind reeled. Proof? What proof? The confession had already happened. Nana Yer had admitted everything. What more could there be? This is a trap, Kwame said immediately, stepping protectively in front of Amma. They're using your name to draw you out. Or, Chief Osei said, his voice heavy, there's something we still don't know. Something worse than we imagined. Before anyone could respond, another messenger arrived, this one from the Western Scouts. His arm was bandaged, his face covered in soot. My chief, the raiders are led by a woman. A woman who wears the colors of a dance's old royal guard. She says her name is Ajojo, and she was Nana Yes' childhood friend. She says she has a story to tell, and the kingdom needs to hear it before more blood is shed. Ajojo. Amma remembered that name. She'd heard it whispered in the palace, seen Nana Yes speaking with her in corners. But Ajojo had left Adansi years ago, before Amma's banishment. Why would she return now with raiders? I'll go, Amma said firmly. Absolutely not, Chief Osei and Kwame said in unison. I have to, Amma insisted. If she knows something, if there's more to this story, we need to hear it. How many more secrets can this kingdom hold before it tears itself apart? Then we go together, Chief Osei said. With warriors. With protection. No, Amma shook her head. She asked for me. If I come with an army, she'll disappear, and we'll learn nothing. I go alone. I'm coming with you, Kwame said, and his tone left no room for argument. Not as protection. As witness. Whatever happens, you won't face it alone. Mame Ifua's hand found Amma's shoulder. The path of truth is never straight, child. But you've walked crooked paths before and survived. Trust yourself. An hour later, Amma and Kwame rode toward the western border under a white flag of truce. The smoke grew thicker as they approached, and Amma's heart clenched at the sight of the burned fields. Whatever Ajojo wanted, she was willing to destroy to get it. They found her waiting in the ruins of a border village. She was older than Amma expected, her face lined with scars, her eyes hard as flint. Behind her stood perhaps 50 raiders, armed and watchful. So you came, Ajojo said, studying Amma with an intensity that made her skin crawl. The innocent maid. The banished saint. The healer of villages. You've become quite the legend. You burned homes to get my attention, Amma replied coldly. Say what you have to say. Oh, I will, Ajojo smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. But first, let me tell you about my friend Nana Ye. We grew up together, you see. Shared everything. Including secrets. Including plans. Amma's stomach dropped. What plans? The plan to take the anklet wasn't born from simple jealousy, Ajojo said, circling Amma like a predator. It was born from desperation. You see, Nana Ye couldn't bear children. In our culture, a wife who can't give her husband heirs is worthless. She was going to be set aside, replaced. She was going to lose everything. So she destroyed me instead? Amma's voice shook with renewed anger. No, Ajojo said sharply. She destroyed you accidentally. The original plan was different. She was going to find the anklet in the junior wife's quarters. Frame her. Get her banished. Secure her own position. But something went wrong. What went wrong? Kwame demanded. I went wrong, Ajojo said quietly. I was supposed to plant the anklet in the junior wife's room. But when I got there, I saw you, Amma. Sleeping so peacefully. So innocent. So loved by everyone. And I thought, why should you have peace when my friend has none? Why should you be loved when my friend is scorned? So I changed the plan. I put it in your mat instead. And I told Nana it was done. The revelation hit Amma like a physical blow. You're the one who actually did it. I am, Ajojo admitted without remorse. And I've lived with that choice for 2 years. Watched it destroy my friend from the inside out. Watched her confess to a crime she planned but didn't execute. Watched this kingdom suffer. And I realized something. Guilt is a living thing. It grows. It spreads. It poisons everything it touches. So you came back to confess? Amma asked, incredulous. You burned villages to tell me you're the one who framed me? No, Ajojo said. I came back because Nana Ye's punishment isn't enough. She gets to work and redeem herself. She gets to heal. But what about me? What about the actual hand that destroyed you? Don't I deserve punishment too? You want to be punished? Kwame asked, bewildered. I want to be free, Ajojo said, and for the first time, her voice cracked. I want this weight off my chest. I want to stop seeing your face in my dreams, Amma. I want to stop hearing those children cry. I want justice, real justice, for what I did. So I came back. I brought chaos with me because I knew it was the only way you'd listen. The only way anyone would listen. Amma stared at this woman, this stranger who had casually destroyed her life, who now stood before her demanding absolution through punishment. The old Amma, the one who had been banished, would have screamed. Would have demanded blood. But Mame Amma, the healer, the teacher, understood something deeper. You think punishment will free you, Amma said slowly. But it won't. I know because I lived through it. I was punished for something I didn't do, and it nearly broke me. Punishment without understanding, without change, without growth is just cruelty. It doesn't heal anything. Then what do you want from me? Ajojo asked, and she sounded genuinely lost. I want you to rebuild what you burned, Amma said firmly. I want you to work alongside Nana Yer in both villages. I want you to face the people whose homes you destroyed today and make it right. I want you to live with what you did, not die from it or hide from it, but live with it and do better. That's justice. That's redemption. Not death. Not exile. Work. Change. Growth. That's not enough, Ajojo protested. That's not. That's everything, Amma interrupted. Because revenge is easy. Punishment is easy. Death is easy. But living with your mistakes and choosing to be better every single day, that's the hardest thing in the world. And if you're truly sorry, if you truly want to be free, that's the path you take. Silence fell over the ruined village. Ajojo's raiders shifted uncomfortably, waiting for their leader's response. The woman stood frozen, tears streaming down her scarred face. I don't deserve your mercy, she whispered. No one deserves mercy, Amma replied. That's why it's called mercy. But I'm not giving it to you because you deserve it. I'm giving it because I refuse to let what you did make me cruel. I refuse to let your choices define who I become. Ajojo fell to her knees in the ash and dust. Then I accept. I accept your terms. I will rebuild. I will serve. I will carry this guilt and transform it into something useful. I swear it. Good, Amma said. Then let's go home. All of us. And let's start building something better. The journey back to Adansi was quiet. Ajojo's raiders, it turned out, were mostly desperate people from villages she'd promised wealth and glory. When they learned there would be no raiding, no pillaging, just hard work and rebuilding, most chose to stay. They were tired of running. Tired of violence. Ready for something different. When they arrived back at the palace, the entire kingdom had gathered again. This time, when Chief Osei saw Ajojo, his face went pale. You, he breathed. You were my guard. You swore an oath to protect this kingdom. And I broke it, Ajojo said simply. I'm here to make amends. If you'll allow it. Chief Osei looked at Amma. This is your decision. She wronged you most of all. She'll work, Amma said. With Nana Yer. With all of us. We're done with banishment. We're done with exile. We're building something new here. A kingdom where mistakes can be repaired instead of just punished. Where justice means healing, not just retribution. And what about you? Chief Osei asked Amma softly. Where do you belong in this new kingdom? Amma looked around at the faces watching her. Chief Osei, aged by guilt and wiser for it. Nana Yer, broken but beginning to heal. Ajojo, scarred and ready to rebuild. The children who remembered her. The people of Nkran who had adopted her. Kwame, who loved her. Mame Ifua, who had saved her. I belong everywhere, she said finally. And nowhere. I'll split my time between Adansi and Nkran. I'll build the school we promised. I'll train healers. I'll sit on the Justice Council. I'll live. And that's enough. And marriage? Kwame asked, surprising everyone by dropping to one knee right there in the courtyard. Will you marry me, Amma? Not because you need saving or protecting, But because I love you and I want to build a life with you. Amma laughed, really laughed, for the first time in what felt like forever. Yes, she said. Yes, I will. The celebration that followed was different from the first one. This one felt real. Honest. Built on truth instead of guilt. And as Amma danced with Kwame under the stars, children laughing around them, she realized something profound. She had been broken. She had been banished. She had lost everything. But in losing everything, she had found herself. And that self was stronger, wiser, and more complete than the girl who had once cleaned floors in the palace. Years passed. The school was built, a beautiful structure that stood between Adansi and Nkran, belonging to both and neither. Amma trained dozens of healers, teaching them not just about herbs and medicines, but about justice and mercy and the complicated work of being human. Nana Yer and Ajojo worked side by side for their 7 years, and an unlikely friendship formed between them. They learned that shared guilt could become shared purpose, that the women who hurt each other could become the women who healed each other. Chief Osei grew old, and when it came time to choose his successor, he called Amma to his bedside. I want you to lead, he said. You've shown us what true leadership looks like. But Amma shook her head. I'm not meant to rule, my chief. But I'll help whoever does. I'll advise. I'll teach. I'll serve. That's my place. That's my calling. On the day Chief Osei died, the entire kingdom mourned. But they also celebrated a life that had learned from its mistakes, a leader who had chosen growth over pride. And at his funeral, Amma placed the golden anklet on his chest for burial. We don't need this anymore, she told the gathered crowd. We don't need magical protection. We have something better. We have each other. We have truth. We have the courage to face our mistakes and fix them. That's the real blessing. The anklet was buried with Chief Osei, and in its place, a new symbol was created. A wooden carving of 2 hands clasped together, one from Adansi and one from Nkran, united in purpose and strength. Amma lived to be an old woman herself, surrounded by children and grandchildren, respected and loved. On her last day, as she lay in her bed with Kwame holding her hand, she thought back to that terrible morning when her life had shattered. No regrets? Kwame asked, as if reading her mind. So many regrets, Amma replied honestly. I regret the pain, the fear, the lost time. But I don't regret who I became because of it. I don't regret the lives we touched. I don't regret choosing healing over hatred. That's the lesson, then? Kwame smiled. Choose healing. Always, Amma whispered. Always choose healing. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Those were her last words. And they became the motto carved above the school's entrance, where generations of children would learn not just to read and write, but to think and question and choose compassion over cruelty. The story of the maid who was banished became legend, told and retold around fires and in classrooms. Some versions made her a saint. Others made her a warrior. But the true story, the one Mame Ifua made sure was written down and preserved, was simpler and more powerful. It was the story of a girl who was broken but not destroyed. Who was banished but not defeated. Who chose healing over hatred, mercy over revenge, and truth over comfortable lies. It was a story about justice that repairs instead of just punishes. About communities that hold each other accountable while helping each other grow. And every year, on the anniversary of Amma's banishment, the people of both Adansi and Nkran would walk together from one village to the other, retracing the journey she made in exile, remembering that the path to redemption is never straight, but always worth walking. Because in the end, the golden anklet taught them nothing. But Amma taught them everything. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think about justice, mercy, and the courage it takes to forgive, do me a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what part resonated with you most, and subscribe to this channel for more powerful African folktales that carry wisdom for our modern world. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Because stories like these, they don't just entertain. They transform. They heal. Just like Amma did. Until next time, remember, the truth, like the sun, cannot be covered forever. It will always find a way to shine through. Walk in light, my friends. Walk in truth.